first item on this evening's agenda is apologies for absence. So, we have received apologies from Councillor Amos, Belshaw, Bolton, Bridge, Cattrall, Kay, Livesey, Rayner, Sorensen and Councillor Iverson. Is there any more apologies to be submitted this evening? Okay. So we'll go on. Can I have the next item is obviously confirmation of minutes. Can I please have a proposal that the minutes of the council meeting held on Thursday the 14th of September 2023 be approved as a correct record? Thank you very much for that. Does anybody want to comment on the factual accuracy of the minutes or propose any amendments? With those members present at the 14th of September meeting who are in favour of confirming the minutes as a correct record, please clearly indicate. The minutes of the 14th of September meeting are confirmed. The next item on the agenda is item 3, the declaration of interest. Do any members or officers have any interest to declare on any items included on the agenda? No. Okay, the next item is item 4, announcements. So I have a few reminders about a couple of fundraising events. Obviously, I've got a pre-love fashion show, which is on Saturday the 18th of November at 7 p.m. at Wyre Bank at Garstang. Tickets are £12, including canapes. And I've also got a charity wine tasting evening, which the tickets are selling fast, at booths in Poulton upstairs. So tickets are £20, including tasting of 6 wines, and there's cheese, and there's nibbles boards available as well. So that's on Thursday the 23rd of November. So you can come and support. The next item is item 5, public questions or statements. However, there are no questions from the public this evening. The next item is questions of notice from the councillors. Again, there are no questions on notice from councillors. So we'll move on to the next item, which is executive reports. A polite reminder that each speaker has 3 minutes only, and there will be 10 minutes of speaking overall each executive report. And I will just add as well, if people want to speak, could you put your hand up and indicate clearly, because it's just down to 2 of us this evening, so hopefully that's great, thank you. So Councillor Vincent, first report is obviously the leader of the council. Councillor Vincent, would you please introduce the report? Thank you.
One thing to add to the report, on Monday there was a meeting between the district leaders in Lancashire and Jacob Young MP, who is the Minister for Levelling Up, just to discuss the district's views on the county deal, combined authority. We're aware that he's been having lots of meetings this week, including with the relevant MPs. I understand that the support from the MPs at yesterday's meeting was unanimous for the combined authority and its current structure. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, right, I've got a few that's indicated to speak. The first one is Councillor Fail. So if you'd like to ask your question, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With regards to the Lancashire deal, whilst Blackpool and Blackburn residents would have councillors at the table who would be directly accountable for the actions taken by LCC and the 2 unitaries, Wyre residents would potentially have no councillors from Wyre at the table, certainly none from this council. It seems that decisions directly affecting Wyre residents would predominantly, if not wholly, be made by councillors from outside Wyre. Do you see this as an inconvenience, an insurmountable problem, or something else? And on a final note, under this deal, are there any current powers Wyre would lose to LCC? If there are, do you see this as acceptable?
Would you like to respond, please?
Firstly, it wouldn't be to LCC, it would be to the combined authority, and other than UK SPF, which, if that is renewed, and there's nothing that suggests that it will be, if the current when the current round of funding ends, if UKSBF were to be renewed on the current terms of residence, because we would have a combined authority, that money would go to the combined authority, it wouldn't come to Wyre. However, that's one of the main gripes that a lot of the districts have. So the current administration of LCC and of the combined authority as it would be, have made and given assurances that that pot would be split on the basis that we receive it now. So if they honoured that, or any future administration honoured that, then we shouldn't suffer any loss. I'll believe it when I see it, but that's what they're telling us. In terms of having a direct voice, residents of Wyre get a chance to vote for their Lancashire County Councillors, and the leader of the Lancashire County Council is put there by those county councillors, so they do have representation on it. Ultimately, the House of Lords recently amended the legislation and sent it back to the Commons, and it was 300 to 10 against district votes and district involvement on combined authorities. I would like a voice, I would like a vote on it, but I have to say the inability of all of the districts to agree on anything has demonstrated over the course of the last 2 years that if we did have a vote and a voice on it directly, nothing would get done. I do agree though that Blackpool and Blackburn are disproportionately represented. They are unitary because of historical anomalies. There was a recent government white paper that basically says, or a briefing note that says, they don't think that unitaries work if they've got less than 1 million people in them. So the fact that Blackpool and Blackburn, or Blackpool especially, is smaller than Preston and Lancaster, it shouldn't be a unitary, and their financial state supports that. So yes, they will have disproportionate representation and they will get disproportionate benefit, as will Blackburn, but they are an upper tier authority and those are the rules the government has set.
Councillor Baxter, you indicated?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Apologies, some of what you've just said covers part of my question as well. Thank you for the thrilling report. I wish to ask a question regarding item 2, Lancashire Evolution deal as well, and in particular the latest iteration of what's before us. So I understand it's been around the block a few times. Do you believe this current version, where Lancashire County Council, Blackpool and Blackburn with Darwin essentially have one vote each, is the final one and what will end up being approved? And what do you believe are the benefits but also the risks to Wyre? And then finally, do you believe we'll be better off under the proposed arrangement than what we are currently? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bassett. Yes, so I certainly hope this is the latest version, because if there's any changes to it, it won't happen before the general election and then it won't happen for years. So it needs to be the final version. What are the benefits? Well, immediately, not many direct benefits that we can pin our hats on, really. This has been rushed through based on a structure other than the district authorities being involved, and the county and the unitaries will admit that they've taken big infrastructure projects off the shelf to push ahead with those projects. There's been very little time to actually look at these things. So the National Cyber Centre, for example, that could have benefits to Wyre. It represents good, well-paying jobs that people in Wyre can apply for, and it's another place for them to aspire to go and work, like BAE, for example. Lots of people in Wyre work at BAE, but it's not in Wyre, it doesn't necessarily need to be. So there are indirect benefits, but what I would say is that the county deal forces us and other councils to start working closer together to try and find pan-Lancashire mutuality of interest that we can all work towards to give more direct benefits to Wyre. Do I think we'll be better off? Yes, certainly in the long term, simply because £1 billion for Lancashire will hopefully have some benefit for Wyre, but I would guarantee that we won't be any worse off. We're not giving anything up. This sits on top of the upper tier authorities, so it's in addition to. So at some point in the future, whether it's the first round or otherwise, we will get some benefit. And the fact that Blackpool is one of our neighbours, if Blackpool improves, hopefully Wyre gets some benefit from that.
Councillor Cartridge, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Regarding paragraph 3.2 of the Leader's report,
I'm encouraged to hear that Network Rail have appointed outside consultants to look into the tram train proposal. I'm sure all in this chamber will agree Fleetwood needs greater connectivity for the port's prosperity. Tram train projects have proved wise investments in Cardiff and Sheffield, and I'm excited that Wyre could also benefit from this. Rather than just going for the heavy rail solution, the tram train option has many advantages. A tram can stop at several more points along a relatively short track, it's more user-friendly, and it's easily integrated into the wider rail network. Does the leader agree with this assessment?
I do. I think that the advantage of a tram train and expanding the tram network generally has wider and greater economic benefits for the whole of Wyre and the surrounding area. We'll come back to the combined authority and schemes having a pan-Lancashire benefit. Expanding the tramway around the Far Coast would have a pan-Lancashire benefit. So it's exactly the sort of scheme that we need to be looking to support. That doesn't mean that I would say that we wouldn't support the return of heavy rail. If government turned around and said you can have heavy rail, I'd bite the hand off. So we remain of the view that either would be acceptable, but actually a tram train potentially brings with it greater economic benefits, greater connectivity, and also the opportunity to expand the tram system in a way that will deliver even further benefits for the people of Wyre.
Thank you. Councillor Beavers, your question, please. Thank you, Madam
Councillor Vincent, would you agree with me that the devolution deal offers nothing for Wyre? In fact, it is a power grab by the County Council. The deal actually takes away much more than it gives to the district councils, and we at Wyre will end up with less say and no voice at the negotiation table. Even our UK shared prosperity funding is under threat. The only ones to gain from this deal will be the administration at Lancashire County Council. Thank you.
Please respond. Thank you.
I was pleased to see recently the Council of Beavers has found out there's other places than Fleetwood. She's been seeing Fleetwood and other places. It's terrifying. I don't agree with the Council of Beavers, she'll be shocked to hear. It doesn't take anything away from Wyre. UK SPF is not under threat. The UK SPF programme for the period it has been announced and applies stays with us whether a combined authority comes in during that term, unlikely or not. If there is further funding, as I've said, we had assurances that we will still benefit from that. Time will tell whether that materialises. I would suspect that if our friends opposite took over the county, they'd soon rip up that deal and spend all the money in the east of the county, but again, that depends on it happening. In terms of having no voice, that's not true. In addition to the representation that we have from our fine Lancashire County Councillors and the leader and deputy leader of Lancashire County Council, one of whom in particular fights very hard for everything he can get to Wyre. The district council will have two representatives. So the leader and the deputy leader, or chair and vice chair of district leaders, currently Alistair Bradley and Stephen Atkinson, chairman, the leader of Chorley Labour and Ribble Valley Conservative. They are the representatives, they're involved in a lot of meetings, they get to put representations forward, but also in addition to the main committee, which is one member, one vote for the three of them, there's a lot of subcommittees that work on policy and projects and things. There are not the same limitations and rules on district councils having members of those and influence on those committees. So once the main combined authority structure, committee, constitution, whatever you want to call it, is agreed, the stuff that comes out from underneath that will then be announced and worked on, and we can have a much stronger say at shaping those things at that stage. All of the Lancashire County Councils are county councils for areas where there are districts, so they quite clearly have interest in getting things for those districts. So that's democracy.
Okay, that's the 10 minutes are up for that. So that concludes the consideration of the leader's report. We'll now move on to the report of the resources portfolio holder. So Councillor Kay, would you please introduce your report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the reports before members, the only thing I would add is, as noted at item 2.2, I would encourage all members who haven't already watched the presentation by our section 151 officer on the medium-term financial plan to watch it. It is an excellent presentation. It gives you a really clear, detailed insight into where we are financially as a council at this point and looking forward. So I just encourage everybody to watch that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I've got two at the moment. Councillor Fail, would you like to ask your question, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is concerning that para 5.3 of your report suggests Wyre-owned properties be brought up to the required minimum energy performance certificate rating of E. In the draft climate change strategy, it rightly recognises one of the barriers to overcome as current building regulations which do not go far enough regarding energy efficiency and in terms of net zero principles. So this government might be setting a very low bar to achieve, but it doesn't mean this council has to aim low, and an EPC rating of E is very low. It's a bit like suggesting all food hygiene ratings need to be 1 or better, when we all know 1 and 2 are not acceptable. Para 5.3 of the report, which refers to bringing properties up to the minimum rating of E, seems to conflict with the climate change strategy, which states work with tenants to improve EPC ratings of leased assets, and goes on to state to measure all sites to achieve C rating by April 2027 in line with government guidelines. We need to be careful of sending out the wrong signal and, more importantly, spending taxpayers' money on raising standards to E when the actual target as per the climate change strategy should be to raise standards to C. So with regard to Wyre-owned buildings, leased or otherwise, would you agree that the work identified for Wyre buildings should be to obtain as a minimum an EPC rating of C, not E?
Would you like to respond, Councillor Hay, to that, please?
Thank you, Councillor. I must admit my knowledge of energy performance is far limited. But I do take your point on board. If we are aiming for the rating of C, it does seem that E is quite a way off that, and all I can assume is we're doing a step process to get to that rating, and we're looking at the short-term achievement, getting to the position of being at E with the target of getting to C. But I will look into that in more detail for you and get you a more detailed response on that. I don't want to just give you my opinion. Is that okay?
Thank you for that. Councillor Baxter, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. My question relates to item 3.1 of the report, stating that there is no agreement still on the 2023-24 pay award. I also notice that there is mention of a strike ballot, which actually closed on Tuesday, just gone the 24th. Do we know the results of said strike action ballots, and what, if any, impact the council will face? Thank you.
Can you respond, please?
Thanks, Councillor Baxter, for that. I've spoken with Claire today. We haven't actually got an update on that strike ballot. Whilst it would be reckless of me to put any opinion on that, we've nothing to say that there will be strike action. There's no indications that way, but we do wait on hearing further information. We just hope that this agreement will be come to shortly, so that our officers can be awarded their pay rise or pay award before Christmas, December time, but we're waiting on further information.
Is there any more questions for the portfolio holder? No? Well, that concludes the consideration of the resources portfolio holder's report. We'll now move on to the report of the streets team, parks and open spaces portfolio holder. But obviously, in the absence of Councillor Bridge, Councillor Vincent, will you please introduce the report?
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to take any questions about Godfrey and Waste.
Councillor Carter, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Over the past 12 months, Churchtown in Bloom have worked incredibly hard making the village look fantastic. And a couple of days ago, it was announced that the Britain in Bloom Village winner of 2023 was in fact Churchtown. The judges commented, and I'd like to read this out. Churchtown in Bloom might be small in terms of population, but they have impressed the board with the strength of the community spirit and the high levels of community engagement. From fundraising by selling plants and cut flowers to distributing wild seed flowers to every household to encourage wildlife. The village's together in community spirit of ethos is in abundance. I'm sure the leader would like to join me in congratulating Churchtown and recognising this huge achievement.
I absolutely would. During that congratulations, and I've also said congratulations to our own team who won a gold award for the work they do at our cemeteries. So it's fantastic for the area. It makes it a much nicer place to live, work and visit. So yes, it's great.
Councillor Fail, did you indicate, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a shame Councillor Bridge isn't here, because I'm about to say, probably unusual, you've not heard this very much, credit where credit's due. So he's not going to be happy he's missed this, but the fixed penalty notices for dog fouling and also for not having a means to pick up show an improved focus on what is both a continuing and a significant issue. I'm also pleased to see that environmental health officers at Wyre have been trying to address this issue as well. If there is no deterrent, the issue will take longer to resolve, so the improved focus on dog fouling is welcomed. Dog fouling continues to be a daily problem in all of Wyre's wards. Could we suggest that the statistics are advertised on Wyre's social media in the hope they might be read by those who simply think it acceptable to not pick up after their dog? Thank you.
Thank you, yeah, to be honest, Rob, sorry, Councillor Fail, what you're seeing before you actually is just better reporting of information that we were doing anyway, but we weren't necessarily gathering and publicising. So I'm sure Simon will be devastated that he actually wants. Always happy to improve, and I also accept the suggestion with regards to publicising this as a deterrent, and we'll get on with that.
Thank you. I'm going to, is it Councillor
Nichols.
Yeah, like Nichols, sorry. You're a bit on my list here. We've all had a little move round again, so I don't catch that right. Can I have your question, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was a question for Councillor Bridge, but I'm sure our council leader can answer it for me. In the 16 years that Sandra and I have lived here, our nightlife often includes walking home through Jean Stansfield Park, as we live on Station Road. A couple of people have said that we should walk along the road, and have asked what old codgers are doing drinking in Poulton at night. The simple answer to both is because we want to. We've always been wary of the pitch black path to Station Road, both from a security risk but also from a trip hazard in bad weather, so much so that I carry a torch. I know Councillor Bridge has been involved in it and trying to sort this out, and I had a meeting with Paul Long and his colleague at night in the park, and their assessment agreed with mine. Also bearing in mind that the police had to take one dark area off over the last year or so due to incidents or possible incidents. Paul told me that Simon was pushing to sort it out. I was going to ask you if you can confirm that 4 new lights are going to be installed on the path to Station Road during this financial year. And I was going to ask if the council wants to replace all the park lights with LED lighting. I've since found out late this afternoon that it's all going to be done by the end of November. So the one other thing I wanted to ask or point out, the council have replaced the non-functioning light at the Vicarage Road entrance to the park with a proposed sample of the new LED one. And they're leaving it for a little bit to see what public opinion says. I can't see a problem with this, but I will be interested in your response. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Can you respond to that, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We as a council are working very hard on taking on board positive suggestions for how we can improve the borough. And this is just one of the very, very small ways that we're looking to do it. The change to LED is a no-brainer with our climate change agenda, so thank you for your kind comments. I'm not surprised to hear that the Council of Bridge was involved in making it easy to go drinking in Poulton. It's nice to hear, and actually it's about the officers, and I'm sure we'll pass that on.
Thank you. Councillor Rushford, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Vincent, at your request, let's talk dog dirt. So, one of the main things that constantly is brought to me in my surgeries on a very regular basis is that subject of dog dirt. And credit where credit's due to Wyre Borough Council, when I've phoned in and reported these incidences, then street cleansing have been out very, very quickly. The dog wardens have been out with signage. However, when I've looked at the figures produced, it was quite clearly it was in competition to the north-south divide, to be honest, with 696 man-hours given to patrolling Cleveleys, which is Victoria, Norcross, Jubilee, Cleveleys Park, and only 3 manpower hours given to Hambleton, Stalmine, Great Eccleston, Preesall and Pilling. Now, I am very understanding that, you know, resources are stretched all round. However, I do think it would be very, very useful to have some liaisons with these enforcement officers to actually pinpoint so they can target specific areas, because I'm very, very aware of where they are in Preesall. I'm also aware of them in Pilling, but I'm sure Councillor Lee is as well. I'm aware of them because I live there, and you've got Councillor Cartridge there, Councillor Robinson, who are also probably very aware of this problem. So if we can facilitate you targeting and being more efficient, I think it would be very good, because when these figures are published, yes, there have been a good number of fixed penalty notices given out, but it also very clearly shows that the rural wards are not being looked at very carefully at all. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, you're right. 7 hours across rural east and rural west does certainly appear disproportionately low. Clearly they are wider areas without the population densities of the bigger towns and the footfall of the bigger towns. But I take what you say on board. It's good that you report the issues. We do respond to reports, so if you report them and you keep reporting them and you get the residents to keep actually reporting them, then it creates little hotspots on the map, and then we will go out and we will deal with those areas. So please do keep reporting them. But I take on board what you said, and I'm sure we can look at increasing our patrols in the rural communities, because you know that coverage does seem a little bit low.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Minto, please.
In the absence of Simon, I would like to direct this to the council leader and all the officers. It's come to my attention from a resident in the area of Red Marsh Industrial Estate. There's a piece of land that had the 8 by 8 inch wooden posts right the way along its frontage. These have all been removed. Now this resident is thinking that this has been removed because there are going to be travellers coming on there for Christmas. So it's a bit of a serious problem as a whole, and I'll mention it to the councillors. I think it's Bourne Board. So thank you very much.
Would you like to respond there, please?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the piece of land or the barriers that you're talking about there, Ken.
It's adjacent to the school, Great Army.
If it's public land and Wyre own it, then we should have protection on there already. If I could ask that you send myself and Mark Billington an email just with the information that you have available.
I will.
Thank you. Councillor Birch, but it's obviously quickly because the 10 minutes are nearly up.
Thank you. It's reference paragraph 2.8 about the Cotton Hall Community Gardens, and it's just an update really that I feel sure Councillor Bridge would have given to us had he been here this evening. And it says that funding has been secured in order to develop the grow, to build up the beds for people to actually grow the new plants, vegetables, whatever, in the community garden. I'm delighted to say these are already in situ. They've been filled with compost and are all ready for the Poulton-le-Fylde group to work with. So it's just to say thank you very much to the Wyre Gardening Group.
Great, thank you very much for that. Actually, that concludes, that's the 10 minutes that are up. That concludes the consideration of street scenes, parks and open spaces portfolios report. We'll now move on to the report of the planning policy and economic development portfolio. Councillor Marinell, would you please introduce your report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My report before members, and I'm happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Nichols, please.
Yes, Councillor Marinell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. As a Poulton councillor, do you think you could update me on item 4.1 and how the Poulton consultation's going, and what will the next steps be going forward? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you for your questions, Councillor Nichols. June consultation for Poulton. Oh, by the way, we also won Poulton and Bloom on a Gold Award, so I'd just like to get that as well. So June consultation, there were a number of categories that was looked at on the actual feedback form. Some of the proposals that were put on there. Marketplace was a specific area for residents. Responding to this, we identified the area as being one we were concerned about that's a bit underused, which I totally agree with. Enhancing the events calendar as well for Poulton is really quite important. Poulton Partnership have been really supportive about this as well. They've got a few events going on, but we feel that the council can also add to some events that are going on as well around there. The Poulton Partnership are concerned that after June, when the garden's going on, there's not really a great deal happening after that. Also, the Monday markets can be expanded, maybe for more stores and more area, or maybe extend the days from Monday to 2 days during the week. Some of the main projects in the report on the High Street, public realm improvement strategy as well, and also for incorporating more street details about what's going on around Poulton and where to go, some signs and things. Visitor economy came up on there too. The events program which I've just been talking about. Transport and linkage, that was a part of the survey, and support for developing the disused Fleetwood to Poulton rail line, which we talked about tonight, which I think, as I always said, every single member in this room is supportive of, which is really, really important. Community part of the survey, support for sustainable planting and biodiversity projects around Poulton, and support the sports clubs as well. That brings into Cotton Hall that we were just talking about there, and also the football fields here at the back of the Civic Centre, hoping to look to do something there too. Health and wellbeing was a part of it, so developing exercise referral scheme and implementing Wyre moving more priorities as well. Business support was advice on improving energy efficiency around the town, and also improving some digital skills. So going forwards, there's another consultation this autumn in 4 parts. So the survey will be published online. So artwork summarising the report itself in about 4 weeks' time. Drop-in event from 10 till 3 at the Tilo Centre on a vacant unit on Market Day. An evening drop-in event from 5 till 7 at Poulton Library. And a drop-in event from 10 till 12 on a Saturday, again in the Tilo in a vacant unit in there. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In recent times, there have been financial implications to both the council and stallholders at Fleetwood Market due to the COVID pandemic and then the closure of Fleetwood Market early this year because of ongoing building works. Now, I understand the council has given support with regard to the rents for several years and also additional council assistance during the building works. However, due to this Conservative government's policy of imposing more and more stealth taxes, in this instance the addition of 20% VAT to Fleetwood Market stallholders' rents, many of those stallholders were already in financial difficulties due to the impact of 13 years of Tory misrule, also added to the current cost of living crisis. The traders' financial difficulties have been further exacerbated by the imposition of the VAT on each and every indoor stallholder's bills. After speaking with some of the market traders, it has become quite evident that those that were very close to the edge in terms of making a profit feel that they have now been pushed over the precipice. Yes, I know Wyre Borough have covered the cost of that VAT for the previous few years, but that does not deflect from what is occurring in the here and now. Since the stallholders received notice of the increases at the end of September, which included the service charge and the addition of a 20% VAT, 12 stallholders have left as a direct result of that increase, with many more saying they will be gone by Christmas. At the last count, there was 44 empty stalls. That's 44. That's a massive amount. Perhaps the improvement works, though, may assist in lowering energy costs and therefore may be a reduction in service charges, but this will have no impact to traders for at least 12 months. So by then, just how many stallholders will be left trading? The empty stalls will also have a knock-on effect on how many people visit and return to the market,
A reduction in visitors could also impact on those businesses in the vicinity of the market. We just all know how fast word can spread via social media these days on the negative aspect of it. So, Councillor Marinell, how are you, as portfolio holder, going to tackle this unprecedented exodus of traders from Fleetwood Market? The impact could be far-reaching in terms of income for the council, but also just as important is that we do not see the demise of another of Fleetwood's assets. Is this council therefore prepared to do something, anything at all, now, to help retain more of the traders at Fleetwood Market, who, let's face it, and I'm not trivialising this in any way, shape or form, are fleeing the market, soaring costs almost as quickly as Councillor Vincent fled Poulton prior to the people's voices being heard on May the 4th. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to respond, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the question, Councillor Duffy. As you pointed out, when the work all started, we have supported traders all the way through the works, right at the beginning. There was a 30% rent reduction for all of them. As you've also said, VAT was completely covered until October, and this has been going on for quite a long time. The total incentive has been £500,000, which is a huge amount of money. Improvements have been disrupted, I totally get that, there's no doubt about that. But we managed to keep open throughout, and we could have just closed it, which would have made it even far worse. But we didn't do that, we carried on to carry out what are essential works that they're doing. And like you say, hopefully these works will actually reduce some of the energy efficiencies and bring down the prices in there. All works should be finished by the end of November, and we are aware that people have left. We're also aware that the way the service charges have been done over a very long period of time have been in arrears. So they've gone all the way through the year, and then they've had to pay the money up front. And it's not really the way to be doing it, because incrementally what would normally have happened if it had been a different way, every quarter, if there had been an increase, that would have been implemented, or a decrease would have been implemented. But the way it's done at the moment, it's a whole year ago that goes past, and suddenly bang, it's all there. And because now from October they've got to the VAT, that's an added increase and an added cost, so we get that as well. And so we're going to look at the way service charges are done, and we'd like to do it in a different way altogether. So when we've worked out something better and something that's going to benefit the traders better, then we'll come back to you with that. But as I say, we do know some have left. We'd like to see them come back in the new year or before then if possible, if we get a different service agreement in place, but we will come back to you on that. Thank you for your question. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Beavers, you indicated. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Marinell, at September's meeting I asked a question regarding the restoration of the rail line into the centre of Fleetwood. The concern stated was specifically about the impact of planning developments on our ability to get the line to the centre of Fleetwood, not Jameson Road. I don't believe you picked up on that point. So will you commit to finding and guaranteeing a rail route to the Fleetwood Freeport area of Fleetwood? The council needs to think about the big picture rather than a piecemeal changes that ultimately threaten the prosperity of the borough and its residents. To not act would be negligent in the extreme. Thank you.
Would you like to respond, please?
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the question, Councillor Beavers. You know as well as I do how I'm passionate about the rail line. I want it to go as far as possible into Fleetwood. And all the way to Marine Hall would be perfect. But we know that's not going to happen. But your specific question, I don't know your specific answer to that, but I will speak to Steve Smith, and we'll sit down and have a chat about it, and I will come back to you with an answer. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Renner.
Yes, on paragraph 2.2 on consultations underway, you very kindly provided a link to share, councillors to share, and I've seen posts on Facebook. I wondered if you could tell us of any other ways we're encouraging community engagement that councillors can support, particularly as you say that input from these surveys, etc., will help prepare for future funding. And in addition to that, is there any ongoing procedure for collecting information for future funding opportunities for areas that aren't included in these ongoing proposals, because obviously different areas may not naturally answer that type of request? Thank you.
Okay, would you like to respond, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the question. So we do this on here, online on the Wyre Council website, but comms actually do put out quite a lot of stuff as well on social media, on Facebook and not Twitter, X, or whatever it's called now. And so they do put out stuff on there, so hopefully residents can pick up on that. If you do have residents that are looking to do this, maybe point them in the direction of the various social media places that are around there. And we're always looking to do different areas, so we can look at that. I'll have a nose and I'll get back to you with an answer. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Obviously that's the 10 minutes up for this one portfolio holder. That concludes the consideration of the planning policy and economic development portfolio holders report. We'll now move on to the report of the neighbourhood services and community safety portfolios holder. So Councillor Berry, would you please introduce your report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My report before colleagues. I'll do my best to answer any questions.
Okay. Councillor Brian Stevenson.
Thank you, I'm obliged to you, Madam Mayor. I finally got in front of the cut. Very pleased to know that. Also, I've been gouged tonight. So many speakers. Reference, Roger, page 28, 3.2. If you just glance at that. As far as I'm concerned, there's something missing here. It's a very serious matter, and I feel so bad about it, or so keen to see something done about it, that if I don't get any satisfaction here, I shall do whatever it takes to get some. My concern is people, mainly younger people, pubs, holidays on, driving about Fleetwood, and probably in other areas which are well populated, without lights. Recently, I went to open my car door at 10 o'clock, and I just missed knocking a young man off his bike. Again, no lights. I think Councillor Molyneux had the same experience recently when somebody went past her on an electric bike and nearly caused an accident. Tonight when I came out, believe it or not, I nearly knocked somebody else off the bike. No lights. You know, and I brought this up on many occasions, Madam Mayor. I brought it up when I was a town councillor, and I've always found the police very unenthusiastic about discussing it. They say, in answer to queries, that police time is at a medium. Well, we know it is, we know that there's not a lot to put up with. And then, of course, they say that culprits on bikes are nifty, quick, they can nip down side streets, alleys, and so forth, narrow streets, and, you know, they can't get them, they can't get down there, they can't apprehend them. I don't think they do want to apprehend them, because again, I think that they don't look on it as dangerous as I think it is. We're just waiting for something to happen, for somebody to be either badly injured or worse.
Councillor Steve, I know I don't want to talk, but is there a question there, please?
Is
there a question there for the portfolio holder?
Well, I haven't finished yet.
Get on with it.
So, I need another, just make another point before I switch off, is that it is that when people go about without lights in the dark, they could be up to dark deeds. You don't know what they're doing. So I would honestly request you, Roger, to to use whatever influence you have. It's a serious matter, this, and I'm not playing politics in any way, shape or form. It's a very serious matter, and it's getting worse.
Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Councillor. I appreciate what you said. It can be a danger. I don't accept that the police don't do anything about it or are ambivalent towards it. I know they've taken an interest in dealing with sort of motorbikes that have used the prom and have been on the Greenland side, the grassland side. Sort of they have confiscated things, so they will do things. I think we need to report it in. I mean, I hope that you've reported it in, on 101 or whatever service you want to use. I think it's important that the police know that these things are happening. I'm aware that the potential for accidents, I agree entirely with what you're saying, they can be very dangerous. I will report it myself. I'll have a word with the inspector at Fleetwood and draw their attention to this matter, and we'll see what we can do to assist the matter.
Just as a joiner, if I may, Madam Mayor, I'll be quick.
We're going to
Put some publicity out about it, like we do about fly tipping or dog mucking. You know, if we can tell people, unless you put the lights on at night, they're going to get prosecuted. I think there should be something done about that.
Right, comments on the board there. Thank you. Councillor Beavers, would you like to answer your question, please?
Actually, it's not a question. It's Fleetwood Town Council got a letter and I'd just like to share it with the room, and it was from visitors to Fleetwood. We just wanted to say thank you to the council for providing motorhome parking and for making us feel welcome. Thanks for being forward-thinking and utilising your car parks. We have recently returned from a 90-day trip in Europe where this is a normal practice. It is quite simple. If you are not spending about £30 per 24 hours on a campsite to simply park up, you have the money to spend in the local community. We have just had a lovely weekend in Fleetwood where we ate out every night and started our early Christmas shopping. We felt safe and welcome and had a smashing time. So just wanted to say a big thank you. This was sent to Fleetwood Town Council and I just thought sometimes I am nice.
Thank you for passing that information on. I think our car parks team will greatly appreciate what you said, because I think it was a need that we had, because we were having problems with a lot of motorhome parking on the seafront, which we may not have cured completely, but at least we've gone somewhere to sort out. But the other part of it, the side of it, is the business that these people can bring to Fleetwood. I'm gratified to hear that people are using the facilities, great restaurants and cafes in Fleetwood, and Fleetwood's benefiting out of it. Thank you very much for passing it along.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I was looking at 3.1 with the ASB hotspots and visible patrols, and I was wondering how that was going, because in Garstang we've obviously got a little group of 13 and 14-year-olds who are causing a problem at our little grammar school, where they're banging on the windows and walking into the building when there are various functions going on there. And then I went into Booth on Tuesday because there was an article in the Courier regarding the problems with youngsters, and had a word with the manager there and the security guy, where unfortunately when the cafe closes at 4 o'clock they have to keep that section open because it's a fire door, and these youngsters are going up there and sort of playing football, or else they're charging their phones. And the other day, apparently, they were dropping a football down from the cafe, and then the guy down below was throwing it back in. And I think also there was a sanitizer which hit somebody. The security guy says he has reported this to the police, but I really think we need to get something going in Garstang with something like this, just to, stop these youngsters doing this. And it's so annoying, that with the various things that happen at Little Grammar School.
Yeah, thank you for that. And the hotspot funding that we've got from the Police and Crime Commissioner is directed at what's considered the worst areas and the other 2 areas in Fleetwood. And I think a lot of good work's being done, because these extra neighbourhood patrols are going out in the evenings and at weekends, when we know that ASB sort of tends to happen. And I think they've already, in about 3-month period, attended about 163 incidents out there and done about 250 spot checks on people to check what they're doing and responding to incidents. So it is working there. Now, I can't say that it's going to be passed directly on to other areas. It is sort of an initial start at doing these sort of things. But we do have a rural task force that does operate in your area, and when I hear what you've just said, I feel that this really needs a task group of officers to track down, find out who these young people are, and see that they're properly dealt with. it can't be done by a lone police officer. It's got to be done by a group who, you know, exercise intelligence of who they are and then acting upon it. So I will pass that info on to the superintendent, and so hopefully we can get some action and get this sorted. It shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening. Thank you.
Councillor Rushworth, it's your next, but I'm sorry. Quick question, because the
It's a question. Yeah, it is a question. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Now then, Councillor Berry, I must highly commend the new police operation in Fleetwood of clear, hold, build, and I fully appreciate the importance of targeting high crime areas. And I am very aware that over Wyre is labelled a low crime area. However, in the 30 years I've lived there as a resident and the 15 years I've served as a councillor, it's become very evident that there are little pockets of crime arising, and these are growing in numbers and they are growing in severity. There was a ram raid last week at Knott End Co-op. It's not been the first one. And to be quite honest, the people there are feeling very forgotten and as a result very vulnerable. So I would like to ask you for some assurance that the rural policing will be brought up at any future agendas you may have with regards to policing the rural over Wyre communities.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I'll certainly pass this on. I mean, it's important. I appreciate what you're saying, because we do have incidents, quite grave incidents from time to time in Knott End, and it's not the first time I've heard of this ram raid sort of happening. And I think one of the things, and I think this is something when I read about it, I felt I wanted to make further inquiries. We were supposed to get some sort of CCTV system set up in Hambleton, so that we would at least have some sort of a deterrent. Now, I don't know whether that's been set up. I know there was problems
that was
with
on
LCC.
the way.
It was on the way. There was a problem with LCC because I think the cameras have got to be placed on the lighting systems. Now, it was hoped to be sort of deterred sort of thing that you're talking about, certainly at that level of more serious crime. So I will check this out. And I'll certainly take up, you know, the ASB angle with the rural teams, that they need to sort of, you know, attend to this, because they should be attending to it. I hope that you're reporting these things in, because it's important that people do, so that the superintendents do realise the problems that arise and then direct the rural force to attend to them. But I will take it up myself.
One tiny.
Can you obviously liaise between? Because obviously that's yes. Okay, Councillor Rushworth, if you want to, yes, if you get any questions, do that afterwards. The 10 minutes is up for this So that concludes the consideration of the Neighbourhood Service and Community Safety Portfolio Holders Report. We'll now move on to the report of the Ledger Health and Community Engagement Portfolio Holder. So, Councillor Bowen, would you please introduce your report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My report's before you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I've got Councillor Baxter, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question relates to item 2.1 of the report regarding the latest update from Food Standards Agency and fall in compliance. Have Wyre noticed the same observations as those seen across the country? And if so, what are Wyre's officers doing to ensure the public can remain confident that what they are eating is safe? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the environmental health, they do regular inspections on all food outlets in Wyre. Not only do they inspect them for health and hygiene, and they inspect them for temperatures on fridges and freezers, etc. If they go and inspect somewhere and they read the plan, what they've got in the kitchens, if they want to change that plan, they have to let the environmental health department know about that, and they'll go and inspect it again and make sure that they are within the right temperatures that's advised. If they're not, they will have to put them exactly how they were before, and they will go and do regular inspections just to make sure that they are within those guidelines.
There's over 1,200 food outlets in Wyre, and the vast majority are within the regulations, 3 to 5 stars, 3 being satisfactory, 5 being excellent. The ones that aren't, that are below 3, they give them a letter to say which areas they need to react to, and then they'll go on to another visit in a short time scale. If they haven't corrected what was wrong, then they will keep going back within about 3 weeks. And if they don't do it, then they will take further action. And this can mean even closing the restaurant or food outlet down. So, yeah, they keep a very close eye on all the food outlets in Wyre.
Councillor Cartridge, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just looking at 5.1, which is the holiday activity food programme. Some of you might know I work in a primary school as a teacher, and it's been wonderful to hear so many positive comments about this initiative, not just from the staff, other professionals and parents, but from the children themselves. So I would like to say thank you to the portfolio holder for making this a success, but also the officers who've all been involved. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's been a fantastic thing, this school holiday activities for children. I've been to 2. I went to one last year, and the one I went to this year, there were so many more children, and now it's including teenagers as well, which is fantastic. So, yeah, and I think it's trebled in the number of kids that we get. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stevenson, please.
My regards to you, Madam Mayor. This is actually a spin-off of a question I was going to ask Councillor Vincent, but obviously, unfortunately, I missed the cut. It references the 2 theatres, and of course, when I think of theatres, I always think of Shakespeare. Always. It's a case of, as you like it. So we'll start off with that. It's quite a serious matter because many people have said to me that they are worried that in actual fact these 2 theatres could close. The first question is, are you satisfied or can you convince me that they are not going to close at any time in the future? Now, public consultation is taking place at the moment, and they say, or it's said, that lots of interest are there. Can you sort of give me a little bit less vague than what the minutes say? Could you sort of give me more information about what is what's going to happen? Are you confident? Are you confident that again are you confident that things will go well? And if you are, then I know you have a great regard for theatre. I've known it for quite a long time. And would you not agree that we need to show more Shakespeare? We need to definitely show both of them.
As I mentioned at the beginning,
we
you
need
have 5 minutes to speak.
So, in order that things go well, or they do go well, we don't want to end up with a comedy of errors, do we? Thank you very much.
He thinks he's beginning here. Turn your mic off. Turn your mic off.
I can't quite remember what the first question was.
Don't worry. Just say yes.
I can't tell you what's going to happen yet with the theatres. We have had a lot of interest and we've got no intentions of closing them. But I can't remember all the questions that you asked me, so
thank you, Lynn.
If there's no more questions for the portfolio holder, that concludes the considering of the Leisure, Health and Community Engagement Portfolio Holders Report. Now is the opportunity for members of the Cabinet to make comments, to ask any questions on the reports of their colleagues. Do any Cabinet members wish to do so? Yes, Councillor Vincent.
Madam Mayor, one question if I may for Councillor Mackay. Does the portfolio holder agree with me that improving the energy efficiency rating of any of our buildings let to tenants that are below an E rating to an E rating before the legislative deadline of the 1st of April 2024, if a new lease is to be granted, is entirely compatible with our long-term goal of improving all of our buildings to C and above? Does she also agree that the cost of improving these EPC ratings may be very high and that rushing this work would not be economically viable and would ensure that we could not plan for these works and or obtain grant funding?
Just say yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Yes, I do agree, and as I stated before, I do agree with what was said before. We are doing a step-by-step process. We can't rush into it. We can't, waste money.
But that needs documenting in the report, that approach.
If that's the questions for the Cabinet members, so that concludes the consideration of the executive reports. We'll now move on to agenda item 8, which is the Constitution amendments. So Councillor Vincent, would you please introduce the report and propose the recommendations?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that the report does a good job of setting out everything quite clearly. I do feel I should expand on 5.5. We had a situation at the first planning meeting where we had deferred an item from the previous municipal cycle, and the planning committee was very different to the one we had previously. And that case basically says if you weren't on the planning committee when it sat that deferred it, you can't sit on it. So had we had greater changes of representation on the council, in effect we would have had a problem in getting a quorum to actually decide those items. So that's all that's meant to tidy up. So hopefully that's clear for members. Just a tidy up exercise other than that, and a few things need to be addressed. So I'll take any questions, but happy to move that.
Is there a seconder for the proposal, please?
I'll second, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Any questions or questions or amendments? So obviously they recommend go to the vote. Thank you. So let's go to the vote. All those in favour? Right, so that's a unanimous decision, so the recommendation is approved. So the next item is item 9, the periodic report licensing committee. So Councillor Birch, would you please introduce the report? Thank you.
The report is here in front of you. I'm happy to take any comments. Bearing in mind, I've only been chair since May, first meeting in June. Thank you.
Councillor Vincent.
It was just to thank Councillor Birch and the licensing committee for their work. It's had an increasing workload since you've been chair, Councillor Birch, and Councillor Elson has been vice chair, and you've got some fun days ahead. But it's very important. There are often peaks and troughs with licensing in terms of how busy you are, and you're definitely at a peak. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that. So I think the report is noted. So the next item is item 10, notice of motion. However, there are none, so that concludes the business for this evening, and the meeting is closed. So thank you.